So they've got the range they need. That other agent gave them obviously a lower sell price, but didn't account for the listings down the street and the differences in the new construction. They've only been built for a couple years, so it's pretty easy to pick apart what, just comparisons like what we do, tray ceilings, different, pitches,
Yeah.
those types of things. So, um,
And I think that's where they kind of needed help from what I mean, from what they communicated to me is they're really concerned about, like I mentioned in the last meeting, about the new construction across the street. They're thinking we're priced like way higher. We just don't think we're going to get that out of our home just because
com-
there's a new home down the road that's way less.
and I told them last week
That's
too
where
that
they need
that's
a little bit of help because I can't really speak to that. I don't really know what
yeah,
all they.
those homes are a completely different buyer bracket. They're low end trendsetter. Um, there's nothing there that's going to really compete with it. And even if it does, their home's established, the neighborhood's established, and there's people in that neighborhood that want to move. The one that I just sold in the neighborhood across the street, somebody in that neighborhood bought it that was renting over there. So there's about 30% of the homes in that neighborhood are rentals, and a lot of the people over there like to stay over there. So that you're gonna get a lot of that traffic too.
So if what I would be asking Eden is if they sold their house for 280, do they have down payment money other than what they get out of their existing home? Do they have a 401k? Do they have any other funds that they can access to come up with this 3.5%?
It is USDA eligible.
Okay.
Oh, that's great. Fall Creek?
Yep.
And now it depends on whether they qualify for that or not. That's a question for Eden.
Okay.
And then, because really what we're talking about is they have an issue with cash to close, right? So if it's like, you know, you need to find out, are they USDA eligible or not? And then it's like, if they are USDA eligible, okay, then that's zero down, right? That gives them the 0% down option. That's less cash out of pocket. If they're not, then FHA, they got to have 3.5%. Do they have any money other than the funds from the sale of their home?
Mm-hmm.
This is what we need to know. That could be 401k, it could be savings, it could be other things, but they're going to need to come up with that money. And then there's the closing costs portion of this is the other issue they have. Now, this can either be paid out of pocket or they can roll it into the mortgage. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yes.
All right, explain to me rolling it into the mortgage.
The difference, they would just see if the lender can roll it into their mortgage, see if they can get a loan for that amount versus paying cash.
Yeah, so I like to try and explain these things as simply to the customer as possible because math is hard and most people struggle with math. So I like to give a really simple explanation of rolling closing costs in. So it's like, let's say the price is 250,000, right? And their closing costs are usually around 2.5% of that. So take 250,000 times 2.5%, and you have to do the math for them because they can't do it most of the time. That's $6,250. So if they're doing an FHA loan, right, they need 3.5%, which is 8,750. So their total, okay, so FHA would be 8,750 down payment. So if I add those two together, that's what they need to have, right? They got to have $15,000 total, $15,000. Or if we roll in the closing costs, then their new price is what? If I roll in the closing costs, what am I changing the price of the home to?
The 6,250 plus whatever the initial cost was of the price of the
I'm
home.
adding the 6,250 to the $250,000 price.
250.
Now their
Yeah.
new price is 256,250, and now their out-of-pocket cost is only, or their out-of-pocket cash is only the 8,750. Eden should be presenting these options to customers. If she's not, I don't know if she is. I don't listen to her or talk to her. I've
Not on the
watched.
emails that I've been copied on. I'm not saying she doesn't do it, but
It's very possible she had these
yeah, she probably
conversations.
does. Just yeah,
But
maybe on the phone or
I
something.
don't know that I would assume she does. I'm just saying it's maybe she does, maybe she doesn't, but it should be something that I think you should help her nudge the customer and her into doing this sometimes. If a customer is strapped for cash and is very concerned, which it sounds like these people are, these are the options that need to be presented to them. Guys, we can increase your price by the amount of your closing costs to roll that in for you. Then you don't have to have that cash out of pocket. I almost cut their cash out of pocket in half. And I don't know if they understand that they can roll their closing costs in right now.
Okay.
And the customer who's concerned about what they're concerned about, I believe that this was not explained to them, and that's why they're concerned. I'm guessing, but I think that probably is part of it. And I would have that conversation with her.
Well, yeah, and they asked me to change the contract because they did ask for the contract, but I knew exactly what they're doing. They want to pick it apart because they want to make sure that we write into the contract that the only way they get their deposit back is only if they net whatever our agent says they're going to net.
Well, we're not going to do that.
No.
So what needs to happen is that it needs to be figured out whether or not they can actually afford this house. And this, I'm going to go back to this. I think the problem is the lender hasn't gone over it with them enough. Or they're planning on 100% of the money that they need has to come out of the sale of their home. And they have no other money.
Yeah.
I think you should call Eden and ask her these two things today. Does the customer have any other money other than the money coming from their existing home in order to make this deal happen? Do they have 401k? Do they have savings? Anything? Is there anybody else who can give them some of the money? Anything? And if the answer to that is no, then it is a very critical thing. And now that we know that it's USDA eligible community, Eden needs to be asked, are they eligible to do a USDA loan? Because it sounds like their problem is cash out of pocket. Is this making sense?
100%, yeah. Yeah.
You have to call Eden and have that conversation, and then Eden needs to get on the phone with the clients and explain to them their options. Right? So, yeah. This is, to me, an issue of the lender maybe hasn't dug deep enough yet, and you need to sometimes, for me, I'm trying to tactfully say this, but for me, Steve knows the business upside down, forward, backward, upside down. And I never have to worry about this with my salespeople when I was at Shaw Homes. With Eden, she doesn't have enough experience to maybe know how to navigate this. And I'm not ripping on her. I'm just saying you might have to drive the bus to get these conversations to happen.
Got it.
And she may have already had them. I don't know, but it
Yeah.
feels like this is the problem.